Hello guys, so I made a cool discovery about Halo 2 recently. So I was looking at through all the characters' textures, just the image files, and I noticed there was actually a pretty big portion of the Grunt texture that is not used in the game. And I'll show you what I mean. So here on the left where my mouse is, this is the image of the Grunt texture, and I have its model loaded here in a modeling software. So this is the torso texture, right? But if I select all the faces of the model, here it shows you what faces are assigned to what part of the texture. And if you see, this part right here doesn't have, the majority of it doesn't have any faces assigned to it, so it's an unused part of the texture. As well as the similarly looking texture here, this big portion doesn't have faces assigned to it. But also, on the model, I've removed the backpack, and if I select these faces, they don't have a proper texture assigned to them either. So they're all kind of jumbled up here. They overlap a lot here, which isn't proper. And you can tell it's not proper by just looking at the model here. It's all skewed. See, it looks to be a little bit of a shape here, but then it just skews right here with the triangles. So this tells me that these parts are actually for the backpack on the Grunt torso, but they're not assigned properly because you can see they're just strewn all about and you can't really see it. So what I've done is tried my best to make it look a little bit more proper so you get an idea of what it would have looked like right here. So on the left here again, you can see the faces are fully filled out here that I've assigned to this unused texture, as well as this one. And I tried to make it look as good as I could. I'm a beginner at this software, so... And this is what it looks like where my mouse is here. So it's kind of like a filter system is what it was supposed to be, but of course you never see this in game. You don't even see the Grunt with his backpack off in game, but if it did have it, this is what it was meant to be look like, kind of. You get the idea. So I don't know if anyone's interested in like Halo lore, but this is a little site to see how the Grunts breathe in Halo 2 that you never see in the game. And I don't think anyone's ever covered this before. So this appears to be like a, I don't know, filter system. I know the Grunts breathe methane. And again, this is the torso. But also, not just that. There's actually a texture on the backpack itself too that isn't used. Let me go to the base vanilla model, and I'll show you these in game afterward too. So again, this is what the vanilla back looks like without my texture rework. And let's look what the vanilla backpack looks like. So again, this is what you see in game, right? You never see the Grunt with his backpack off, but if you were in vanilla, this is what it would have looked like. Let me delete some of these. Again, very not proper. And I'll pull up that texture here. One moment. Okay, here's what the backpack texture looks like. This is the texture used for the backpack, obviously. But if I select it, again, there's a big portion here that doesn't have faces properly assigned. You see, right here it's just completely blank. There's no face. And on this arch here. But all the other places in the model, you see it's filled up with faces. And these illuminations are also used, but I've hidden them so you can just see the model better. The only part that's not fully used is right here. And again, if you look on the right side at the model, you can see all the textures are just very skewed. It doesn't look proper at all. But I've also fixed this texture to the best of my ability. Let me show you what I've done. And again, I think the geometry also at one point was a little more detailed. That's why this looks skewed. They probably reduced the geometry when they knew it wouldn't be used. That's my assumption. But let's pull up the backpack, okay? Let me change the image too. So on the left you have the proper texture again. And this is what I've done, which this is probably what it would have looked like. Something at least like this. And if it were proper, like here. Again, this is not in vanilla. This is what I've added using the original texture. So yeah. A lot of like these air grates for the methane, I guess. The backpack holds methane, right? So a lot of airflow here. And if you look on the left, you can see it's all filled out now. And I'll show you what these look like in game. So yeah, there's the backpack once again. And yeah, in vanilla, as you've seen, this geometry is here. It's just, you never see it. But not just that, it doesn't have a proper texture assigned. Again, if you love Halo 2 lore, you'll love this discovery. So here's endgame now. And I'll admit, the first one I'll show you looks pretty bad. But again, I think it's a mixture of my skills and the geometry is really reduced. Well, first, let me show you what the vanilla one looks like. So in vanilla, if you... I don't think you can, but if you got the chance to see under their backpack, barely see here, it's just all skewed. You can't even make out what it's supposed to be. It's so skewed. This back piece is just completely gray. And on the flip side, the backpack, like you saw in the modeling program, again, very skewed. But let's look at the backpack first. This is what I've added on my texture work using original texture. Boom. You get a lot more clear sense of what the inside of the backpack looks like. So you have like these air grates, like this little hole there to attach the backpack to the body, and this little symmetrical design going down the middle. More air grates for air to pass through, I guess. And then 4 little squares at the top, I guess, to help attach the backpack to the body. And then here's what the body looks like. It looks scuffed, but again, much better than what it originally was. So you see these little air filter things. And then you got little lights there. And there's a little gap in the middle here. And then 4 more lights right here. Like that. And then toward the bottom you have those squares again to attach the backpack on. And then 1 bigger square in the middle. And once again, in vanilla, if you were ever to look under their backpack, you could not make out what that is at all. It's so distorted, it's just green color with some skewing lines going every which way. But now, you can see it was obviously supposed to be some kind of filter system with my texture work using the original texture. And also I want to point out that this doesn't really look like like in Halo 3 you can destroy the backpacks, right? And blow them off. But this doesn't really look like damage, so I'm guessing they might have had a cutscene or just a Grunt without a version of the Grunt without his backpack. But since it's not like a damage texture, it doesn't tell me that this was... It doesn't allude to like you were supposed to blow the backpacks off. Just that they could take it off. Because there's no like smoke, or there's no burn parts, or... Because there's no damage to it. Again, I think this... I'm really proud of this one. I've never seen anyone point this out, but... Here's the backpack with the proper-ish texture applied to it than what's in vanilla. And just to recap, originally the texture was not even applied properly on the inside of the backpack that you never get to see. But with my texture work, I've filled out the faces so they utilize the missing textures. And exactly what I showed you. So, thank you.
Look down! I see it too. Let the slaughter begin. Where's your honor now, Elite? This is far enough. Not yet. Keep going.